All right, so today we're going to talk about plagiarism. It's going to go through this little slideshow here, talk about plagiarism, what it is, and prepare you for an assignment that you're going to have tomorrow. So make sure you go through this, pay attention, and then, like I said, we'll have an assignment that we will use this for tomorrow. So, plagiarism, what is it and how to avoid it? Uh, the official definition of plagiarism is to use the words or ideas of another person as if they were your own words or ideas. So you are taking the words or ideas of somebody else and claiming that they are your own. That is what plagiarism is. What does it look like? Copying someone else's work, citing a source improperly, failure to cite a source, creation of false sources, or turning in another person's work as your own. So, copying somebody else's work, obviously, just blatantly using somebody else's work. We're going to talk about citations later and citing sources, but if you cite them improperly, that is plagiarism. And then if you just don't cite them at all, once again, that's plagiarism as well. And then false sources, so making up sources that are not real, and then just turning in other people's works, those are all plagiarism. Consequences. Obviously, in school, you fail, right? So when you turn something in, you plagiarize, that's an F. You get in trouble for that. Call parents, all that stuff. Um, and, a lot of times we can tell pretty easily if it's plagiarism. Now, plagiarism is just not like a school thing. If you plagiarize on things outside of school, um, people go to jail for that. You can be sued. It's kind of a big deal. You're basically stealing somebody else's work and claiming it as your own. So it's kind of a form of theft. Obviously, we don't really take it that far in school typically, but it is outside of school a very real thing. How to avoid plagiarism? There's obviously summarizing is a good way to avoid plagiarism. You must reference the original source when you summarize, and it should be shorter than the text that you're summarizing, and you must use your own words. So you limit the words that you would use from the original source and just kind of put it into your own words. That's summarizing. Paraphrasing. You must reference the original source, just like in summarizing. The text you produce may be shorter or longer than the original text, and you put in your own words. So, paraphrasing typically is a little longer than summarizing. With summarizing, you can't kind of hit only the main points. Paraphrasing will probably bring in more detail, but once again, you use your own words with that. You can also quote. Now, obviously, you still got to reference the original source. The text produced is the exact length of the original text quoted, so you don't change anything, and unless you use an ellipses, but we're not going to talk about that. You must use the original author's exact words, and you must put quotation marks around them. Very, very important. You got to use their exact words. You don't want to change them and put quotation marks around them. You must include the page number of the source from which you borrow the author's original language. And then, obviously, you can introduce quotes with phrases like according to Bob Jones and then have the quote. So, we're going to talk about how to cite. A lot of more common ways to cite would be MLA, that's Modern Language Association. There's other ways like APA. A lot of times those are more associated with sciences, and MLA is more associated with languages. You'll run into a lot of MLA in your language arts classes. We're not going to talk about in-text citations because it's not relevant for what we're doing. Now, the works cited is what we are kind of looking at for this, and this is what you will be doing tomorrow. A works cited is a list of sources that goes at the end of your paper or presentation that tells the reader all the sources you've used. So anytime you use any information for a writing or a paper, you will have a works cited page at the end that cites where you got all the information from. Formatting sources in a works cited is different from formatting in an in-text citation. It should be alphabetical, so the citation should all be listed in alphabetical order. And yeah, you will do the citations that way. Now, when we go to do them, you can do book citations, essays, articles. We're going to be looking more at the page on a website one. All the sources you're going to use for the assignment are going to be page on the website. They have entire websites, but we have specific pages. So there's going to be you're going to start with the author's name. So you're going to have the author's last name, their first name. So all these are going to be alphabetically listed by the author's last name first. So author's last name, author's first name. Then you'll have the name of the article. So what the title of the article is. You will have the name of the website that you got the article from. You'll have the name of the institutional organization affiliated with the site. So maybe you got the website was Grantland or something like that, and Grantland is associated with like ESPN. This would be Grantland, the name of the website, and then the institution would be ESPN. The date of the resource was created, so the date that it was created, and then you have the medium of publication. That's going to just be online. You're just going to put online for that. And then you have the date of access. So that's the date that you looked it up. All right. One thing that this doesn't have on here that you should have right after this is the URL. So you're going to put the URL. That's what you have up in the up in your search bar at the top. You would copy that and make sure that that's at the end. So the URL goes on the end of this. And that's how you kind of make those citations. So whenever you go write a paper or whenever you're doing anything, you will make sure that all the sources that you use, on the very last page, you cite the sources that you received this information from. So any information that's not directly from you should be cited, and you should acknowledge where it came from. So that's kind of what we are looking at. We are going to use that information to make a works cited page beginning tomorrow. What I want you to do today is you will go to the next page on this module and answer a couple questions about the presentation that I just gave to you. So just click next, answer the few questions that I have. You're done for the day, and then tomorrow we'll talk a little bit more about the assignment. Talk to you all tomorrow.